What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here, and after almost 3 years of waiting, we are back. I'm totally excited. I'm ready to get into this. We're actually going to be talking about football happening on the field in a spring league that actually means something, with fans in the stands that are going to be hooting and hollering. It's going to be just a fantastic display on Saturday. I'm excited. So without further ado, let's start breaking down these games. So we're going to start with the very first game that's going to be reintroducing the new era of Danny Garcia and the Rock's ownership of the XFL. It is going to be debuting on none other than ABC, just like it did back in 2020. And what better place to start than in Arlington, Texas, right where really everything has been happening. So it makes sense to have their very first game there. It's going to be at 3 p.m. Like I said, it's going to be in Choctaw Stadium. It's going to be the home of the Renegades. They're going to be bringing in the Las Vegas Vipers. Now, if you're paying attention to it, right now the line is -2.5, so we're going to give 2 points to the Vipers, and the over-under is 39.5 points here. If you're paying attention to betting lines, this is the first week. Usually don't know how things are going to go. You're going to see lines like these. They're going to be within 3 points, so it's pretty much going to be a toss-up. I mean, if you think about it, usually home field advantage is 3 points, so maybe Vegas is thinking that the Vipers might be the better team in this situation. I don't know, but it's more or less a toss-up here. Now, with 39.5 points, the over-under here. The XFL, the very first time around, had a lot of unders that cashed in. So that being said, with this tiered system for the point after, it actually was very hard to convert these. It isn't just like a chip shot where you're automatically thinking 7 points. So 3 touchdowns that would normally be 21 points, you're looking more along the lines here, really, of somewhere around, 18, 19 points. So, you're thinking take away a point or two for that. So you're going to get some weird scores here, and scores that, on both sides might end up being totaled up 5 to 6 points less than what they would be in a normal football game. And that's just kind of how things are going to be. So that being said, let's go ahead and let's bring in the keys to the game for each one of the teams. I'm going to start out with the Vipers. The Vipers are going to be the least experienced of the two teams. And this is a team that is not really going to try to come out fast. What they really need to do is they're going to be focused on their defense. I feel like they think that the strong point is their defense, and that they have guys in Brett Hundley or Luis Perez. They've been touting Luis Perez as kind of this rock guy. I think that Hundley is going to be their quarterback, but the idea is that these guys are going to run, good sustained drives. These are going to be methodical type of an offense, and then the defense is just going to swarm and shut the other team down. They're going to kind of bludgeon you. At least that's the way that I feel that this team's going to try to come at this. However, I think that the defense really needs to stop the big plays. They really need to stop the pass. They need to stop the big plays, because that's what Bob Stoops' teams are going to try to do. They're going to try to come out. They're going to try to run fast. They're going to try to throw the ball around, and they need to head that off right at the get-go. The other thing that they need to do is, especially with the younger coaching staff and a team that hasn't been together for very long, when you're trying to put together a team that's going to march down the field, you really need to be careful with the ball. You really need to protect the ball, and you really need to not turn the ball over. They're going to need to take chances in this game. They are really going, this is new for this team, and they are going to need to take chances. Rod Woodson is going to need to, take his opportunities. I don't think they can win this game without coming out. I don't think necessarily you're going to have to go through and do the whole flea flicker or, a trick play type of a thing. But I really do think they're going to need to try some shots down the field and do things in areas and in times when it's not expected. I think they're going to need 1 or 2 big plays in their favor that are going to turn this game around. That being either an interception or a fumble and also possibly like a big play down the field. When you're looking at their roster, and if I had to look at guys that, I'm thinking that are going to be the standout guys for them really with it, I've got Bryant is one that we're all looking at to possibly take his career and pull his career back up, and see what a 30-year-old can do running around with a bunch of 24, 25-year-olds. So we'll see what happens there with it. But, I think that we've got, Rod Smith and Lovett are going to be your featured guys here. And I think you're going to see Hundley, throwing the ball around. As long as Hundley can keep away from making mistakes, throwing interceptions, they might be okay if they can get a big play out of somebody, whether that be one of their tight ends, whether it be Jeff Badet, like I said, Bryant, or, if one of the running backs could pull off, a big long run there. So that's kind of the keys of the game for the Vipers. Let's go ahead and let's look at Dallas. I'm saying Dallas, and you can tell I'm going back to 2020. I'm already thinking about that with Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops, this was a team that he really had kind of what he wanted, but things kind of fell apart. A lot of it was injuries, and that he figured out, they really were missing some pieces when it came to things. I think their defense, unfortunately, they would bend, but they would break. And so I think that bringing in, the Hayes brothers coming in here to help him out, I think are going to do two things. I think that they're going to make this team tough. It's going to turn that defense into a bend, don't break type of defense, and also help them to be tougher on offense to where that they can sustain those drives, that they can get those running plays, still have an open, flinging the ball down the field. That's going to happen with this team, but to be kind of a tougher team. And so that brings me to my first point is they need to play fast. This is a team that both running the ball and passing the ball, they really need to just make big plays. The offense is predicated by making big plays, getting out there, getting players, and utilizing your talent. And I think that Kyle Sloter is a great guy to do that. I mean, he is the type of guy that Bob Stoops is going to want, leading this offense for them. The second thing is they have to be aggressive. They have to make the Vipers make mistakes, and make mistakes early is really what they need to do. They need to take advantage of the experience that they have as a coaching staff and make mistakes on the other team, meaning with not playing together as long, with them being newer coaches on the other side of the field, those type of things, and get them into positions where they make mistakes that they can jump on. The third thing I think here is they need to pile on and they need to score big early, and I don't think that the Vipers will be able to keep up with them in that capacity. That's how I see really they need to execute fast, efficiently, and quick. And before you know it, if they can score a couple of touchdowns fairly early and get up on the Vipers, I don't think have the firepower to keep up with that. So I think that they need to do that, feed off of that environment that they'll have there in the stadium, get up big, and I think it'll be smooth sailing for them. Here, if I had to pick, and I'm going to go through and do it, I've got the Renegades. Give the points all day long. Take the Renegades. If you want to play around with the over-under, my score is about a 25-13. So I would probably favor the under here, but really your main pick and a solid pick, I think, is to go with the Renegades. So that is my thoughts on the first game. To finish up the first night of football, the XFL coming back in 3 years. It's crazy, 3 years. Anyways, we're going to be in Houston. It's going to be under the lights. It's going to be an 8:30 game there in Houston. We're going to be at TDECU Stadium. The Orlando Guardians are coming into town to face the Houston Roughnecks. Now, this game is going to be on ESPN and FX. Now, if you haven't yet, You need to subscribe to something that has FX, because if not, you're not going to be able to watch future games, because some of the future games are only on FX. So if you're wanting to watch the games, you're going to need to get that station. Now, moving on to the game itself. This game right now is a toss-up. It's an even line, even spread here. So no points either way. The over-under in this game is 37.5 points. So, as what I do always is I've got my keys to the game. Let's go ahead and let's start with the Guardians. And really, everything starts with the quarterback. You need to protect the quarterback. If they can protect the quarterback, I think that they're going to do not only well in this game, but I think they're going to do well for this season. I think that having Paxton Lynch on this team, I think is a good thing. I think that he can be a very good quarterback for them, but he needs to stay healthy and he needs to stay upright, and they need to protect him. If they don't, I think that their seasons can go down really, really fast. I feel like he takes this team from being bottom feeder to a actual playoff contending team, especially later on in the season. If they can keep him healthy and protect him, I think that the chemistry as this team goes on, that they kind of develop, and the confidence that they will get from playing with one another, that they'll be a hard team to play late in the season. But if he goes down, I think that they're going to have a rough season with that. Now, the second thing that they're going to need to do is on defense, they're going to need to get stops. And I know that that's Terrell Buckley's kind of, he's a defensive guy, so that's kind of where he comes from. Now, he is a first-time head coach, so he needs to not make those mistakes. And an offense like Houston's, they're going to want to come right at you. They're going to want to, take the ball down the field. They're going to want to go fast. They're going to want to make plays, and they need to figure out ways to stop them. In this game, getting punts, 3 and outs, those are wins. If you can get a takeaway, that's great, but that's not what we're playing for here. Every punt is a win in this situation, and they need to play that way. I don't care if you're aggressive. I don't care if you play back. I don't care if it's bend, don't break. It doesn't matter. You just need to get the ball back and not let them score. And that's really the name of the game on defense. And going to the offense, Ford is a guy who's been around for a very, very long time. This is his first chance stepping up. Sometimes you've been around the block for a while. It's kind of hard to teach an old dog new tricks. What I'm saying is that utilize that experience, but don't be stuck in your ways. Be innovative with this offense. Use your motion. Use line shifts. Use all of the things to confuse the defense, to give your playmakers opportunities. I think, especially in the running game, if they can do that, they've got 2 guys in their running backs that are both of them, in Martin and Darrington, we have not seen a single play of either one of them in professional style ball. And I think that these guys could quite possibly, be some bright points for this team, and be able to carry this team and give them an opportunity to get that ball, get those, to make those plays down the field, later, run first, then some stuff off of play action. But if they're not innovative, nothing's going to go anywhere. Don't be predictable is kind of what I'm saying. Don't be stupid, but don't be predictable in the play calling, in the plays that you're calling. Disguise things. Do that type of a thing. Utilize the play action, properly. Those things will be keys to this offense being successful. Now, looking at the Roughnecks, and this team, they really need to confuse the offense. They need to confuse the offense enough, show different looks on the defensive side of things to make the offense think that it's one thing, get them all flustered. Remember, this is the first game that these guys have played together, to where this offensive line really isn't as cohesive of a unit, and get to the quarterback. If they can get to the quarterback, it's going to be a very, very long day. It doesn't matter if it's Paxton Lynch or DeAndre Francois. Either one's going to have a very, very long day. If they can have, they can have a meeting back at the quarterback, it's going to be a long day for them, and it's going to be it's not going to be a good thing. They need to confuse that offense. They need to get to the quarterback. The second thing is they need to find a quarterback. They've got 3 guys that could quite possibly be the quarterback on this team. Now, I kind of I'm not a huge Silvers guys. You guys know that, and I know that there are you guys out there that really, like him, and that's fine. But here, I think it's McDonald and LB. Those are the guys that I think could be stars on this team and literally be stars in the league. They could both be the next PJ Walker here. They need to play. They need to make plays, and they need to get the ball to the playmakers on this team. This team has playmakers. Nick Holley, the heart and soul of this team back in 2020, is back in 2023. And if they can get it, this team is loaded with playmakers that are ready to get the ball from the quarterback and make plays. If they can make plays, this is going to be a long night for the Guardians. And unfortunately for the Guardians, I think it's going to be a long night for them. I think that this is going to be the Roughnecks night. Those Houston fans are going to love this. They're going to have fun the whole game. It's not going to get completely out of hand, but this game is going to, they're going to have control of the game the whole time. I don't think the Guardians are really going to ever have a shot in this game. I think that the Guardians are going to score late to kind of make the score look a little bit more respectful, but this is going to be the Roughnecks all night. So if you're taking it, I'm taking the Roughnecks. I've got a 33-22 score in this game, and I would go with the over. The over would be the pick if I had to pick one of the two. I would go with the over in this game. And that's pretty much it for night one. Whew, that was a lot to cover. I'm excited. I'm ready to go watch these games. I was hoping to be able to get all 4 games in one video. I just drag things out too long, and I can't do that. So there'll be a part 2 of this where I'll be covering Sunday's games. But man, I am just excited for football. As always, I want to know your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know what you think, what your thoughts are, what your picks are for these games, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. Listen, guys, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. Have a good night. Bye.